Okay, first question. Dipoles like Maggie's are known for having very deep soundstage because they project. The XVX has a tweeter projecting backward. Okay, so does it compare soundstage depth? If I read you correctly, you're asking dipole speakers have sound coming out of the rear. The XVX has a tweeter behind. Is it the same effect? Not exactly, uh, but the intent is the same. They're both trying to create spaciousness, more depth behind the speakers. So that's one of the things that I'm very attracted to, as I said on the last live stream. Okay, I really enjoy this feeling of more depth. But you're onto something by connecting the dots with these two types of speakers. Okay, I can see why you would assume that's the case because I've noticed, of course, that any speaker that has any sort of driver behind it always gives you the illusion not only of more depth, but also it disappears better, in my opinion. So I would agree. Great question, David. Do I think high humidity affects sound quality? I would say yes. High humidity does affect sound quality. I'm going to tell you where that starts. That starts with cables, metal, contracts and expands depending on the temperature. I know transparent cables, they're top of the line Magnum Opus cables. When you send them in to get them calibrated, that's one thing they ask you, the temperature, average temperature of the room. And that is exactly because of this, because they want to make sure that that cable is as calibrated as possible to compensate for the temperature. Definitely feel like humidity absolutely impacts the quality of the sound. And not only just cables, I think it impacts other areas, electronics. There's no doubt. But I don't think that in a properly set up room with, the right temperature, which I'm hoping that's what you all have out there. Hopefully you're not listening to music in your backyard under a tree. Okay. So I think most rooms are always going to be probably in the 70 to 80 Fahrenheit temperature range. And I think from 70 to 80, I don't think there's going to be a difference in sound. And the humidity that you're referring to definitely has impact. But again, when I think about humidity, oftentimes I think about rooms that don't have like climate control, air conditioning. They don't have anything like that. They're more like with the windows open and they let the external humidity come into the room. I think about that type of scenario. Here in the US, the reality is most folks have air conditioning. So, and you have dehumidifiers that will help you with those humidity issues. Okay, so for the most part, we don't see issues with it, but I think theoretically, I can see how humidity can impact the performance of a sound system. Any chance of trying Ideon, okay, or Ideon or Ideon, however you want to call it. Okay, this brand, in case you do not know and you're new to this brand, Ideon, it's a Greek brand as far as I know. Okay, it's been a brand that I believe they manufacture clocks, DACs, and maybe, who knows? I don't think they make any amplifiers, but I think it's a lot of digital stuff. Okay, this brand is making some noise right now in the US. Okay. I spoke to the distributor, I would say 2 weeks ago. They are in California. I picked up the phone and I called them to express my interest on this brand. I want to see what it does. I want to hear the DAC, their top of the line DAC that I believe is $47,000. Then you have a clock that is an X amount of money that you add on top. And then you have the streamer that's another X amount of money. I think when it's all together, all three chassis, it is approximately $80,000. Okay. I spoke to him because I've seen a lot of noise, a lot of narratives, a lot of conversations, okay, about this brand. So I requested to evaluate privately the DAC, their top of the line DAC. It turns out that they do not have one available for me at this time. It is getting reviewed by two reviewers, and they said that once those reviews are completely done and finalized, then they'll contact me and send me one for my evaluation. Okay. I've heard the following things about this brand. Okay. I've heard, and again, this is all speculations. I want to make sure you understand that. Okay. I have no way of proving what I'm about to say. This is what I've heard. I've heard it beats DACs that are in six figures. If you're asking me six figures, then I guess they're referring to the MSB Select. They are referring to the Watt-X DAC. They are referring to God knows what other DAC is in the six-figure range, okay? They're saying that for $47,000 or $80,000 if you add the streamer and the clock, they're saying this DAC smokes DACs that are in the six-figure range. They're saying it's very dynamic. They're saying it's actually very musical. And that this DAC is supposed to be the next great thing when it comes to a digital source. There is a great review on Absolute Sound by Robert Harley. He spoke really highly of this brand. He apparently has nothing but great things to say about this DAC. Okay. I don't know anything about it. I cannot give you my feedback yet. But if they come back to me, maybe in Q1 of 2024, and they say, Jay, we are ready to send you the DAC so you can listen to it. I always say this to brands, and I want to use this opportunity to let you know what I say to brands. I always say this. I'm going to do a private evaluation of the unit. If I like it, and I think it's really good stuff, I'm going to make a video about it. You guys are going to know about it. You guys are going to get it from me. If I feel that it's not up to my expectations, I'm just going to send it back. Now, before you go and say, that's so unfair, Jay, because you're not even telling us that there is something out there that we should not even look at, you're pretty much setting us up for failure. You're right. And I'm going to answer you guys right now. I can say the following, okay? If I'm buying it with my own money and I'm reviewing it, I am going to make content that oftentimes will be pretty easy to understand whether I liked it or disliked it. Okay. If it's a private evaluation that they're sending me, which by the way, I can count with maybe 2-3 fingers how many times that has been the case, that I've had a brand send me something and I have accepted that. Maybe with 3 fingers. That's all I need. Okay. It doesn't happen because I reject those things consistently. But because Ideon is very, not necessarily new, but it's not widely known in the US, I'm not about to spend my money and buy it and then lose my shirt my shirt when I sell it. I can't take that financial hit, for lack of a better word. Okay. So when I do get it, I have a feeling it's a good DAC. I do have a feeling it's a good DAC. Okay. I will make sure that I come back and give you feedback. Okay. When that happens, I will make sure that I make this more public because a lot of you have been asking me about it. And I think it's more than reasonable for me to give you my feedback. Okay. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned.